I'm gonna try not to be super awkward while I do this. My name is Newbie. I am on here to try and document my artistic and writing affairs. I wanted to start this earlier in the weekend. I was off this weekend, which is new. I started a new job position and I've been working a lot. Finally got through all my training. I had like a week-long class I had to go through, and then I had 3 days at a different location where I did on the job training. And I'm finally back at where I'm supposed to be at my home office, you could say. And I had the weekend off, and I wanted to start it off well by getting tons of writing done, like I always say I'm going to do, but I never actually do. But I'm starting this now. I have about an hour before I need to leave. It's 2 p.m. on a Sunday, and I need to be up in the morning at like 3:30 to head to work. But I had a little bit of time before I head to dinner, and I guess I wanted to say, well, welcome. Planning on doing a lot of writing this week, see how I can fit it into my new job position. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, hang along for the ride. Welcome to the show. I'm having so many troubles with the beginning of the story. Oh, hello. I got a cat right here. I swear I've rewritten this story 12 times now and I still can't get the beginning right. When it comes to the beginning of a story, like I cannot start a story until I know, like, at the very minimum, the first sentence. And I didn't know that with this story. It was when I started back in college for an assignment for my writing classes, and I've just never been able to get it quite right. It's kind of oh, I don't even know how to describe it. Not surreal, maybe surrealist. It's odd. I write weird things. I write literary, but I would say it's all sort of, it takes place in the real world, but there's something kind of off about it that can't really be explained, or there's like a crazy character having a mental break. I write a lot about those. Don't know what that says about me. But I've started a new document on the computer and I just cannot get this beginning right. And I keep thinking, well, maybe I should just jump further into this story and try and see where I can go from there and then come back to the beginning to see if I can make any real leeways with it. I'm having so many issues and I don't know what to do. I'm so sick of restarting the story, but I don't want to just throw it out because I think it has some wonderful ideas. It's I can't say much about it, but it's basically the premise of a woman who I would say is about 43-ish. Um, and is pretty certain her husband has turned into a plate, and she has to figure out what happened and what that means for her. And that's all I'm gonna say. Completely bizarre, something very strange, and I don't know how realistic I want to be about it. I don't know if I want the story to be about, like, oh, well, speculating, well, what's happened? Like, why does she think her husband is turned into a plate? What does that mean for the story? Or if I want it to just be, yeah, her husband turned into a plate and this is what happens. Like, do I need to explain it or do I not need to explain it? How I don't want it to be a super realistic story because obviously it's not if she thinks her husband's turned into a plate. So I'm kind of wrestling with the tone I want to make this story. Do I want it to be silly or do I want it to be serious? I'm leaning more towards serious. But right now I think it's coming off quite goofy and I've not written in so long, so I feel like I've kind of lost my touch. I used to write a ton. I have an English degree. I went to school for writing. And college really burned me out. College really, all the assignments of having to write stories because I had to and not necessarily because I wanted to. I wouldn't have changed it. I learned some good habits, also learned some really bad habits, doing a lot of things last minute. But I've been trying to get back into writing this past year. I graduated about a year ago, and recently I've tried to get back into my writing, tried to get back into my old groove, and I've been struggling, but I think that's just part of it. You take a break for something for so long, and it takes you a while to get back into it, and it's frustrating. And I don't like that I'm having issues because then I'm already discouraged. It's already taking so much momentum to get my butt in the chair and to sit down and write and to try and flesh out the story. But I started back in college, and I don't even think I ever finished it. I think it was just for an assignment where we had to prove that we were working on something for a writing class. It was like a little weekly assignment, like, oh, send in like 300 words of what you've been working on to show that you've been furthering your writing craft this week, among our other assignments where we had like short stories due every month or whatever was going on. I can't remember. I don't want to think about it. Oh, so anyway, but I'm struggling. Hope you're having a better time with your writing. I'll get through it. I think I just need to sit and mull over what the tone needs to be. And I think I'm going to try restarting for the 18th time again. I got about I started a new document. I got almost like 160 words into that. But I think I need to reframe how I want this to go. Maybe since I want it to be a serious story, I don't necessarily always write like linearly. I kind of pick through the story and I'll jump around a lot scene by scene, or I'll have an idea of something that needs to happen much further along. And I think I just need to try and jump ahead and not worry about the beginning so much because the beginning's always the first thing people read, which of course is the first thing they read, it's the first thing that's going to be on the page. But the beginning's always the start, and I always want to get that right. And in the past, I've never struggled with the beginnings in the past. I've always done very well with the beginnings. I've always had great ideas for how my story needed to start, and I'm struggling now, but I think I just need to be a little gentler on myself and say, like, well, it's been forever since you wrote, so oh, it's gonna take a while to get back into it. But anyway, just giving an update. It's only been about 20 minutes since I said hello. Alright, I'm gonna get back into this. See if it can go any better now. One moment, I gotta pet a cat. Alright, so it has been an hour. It is now 3 something. My computer's turned off. I was struggling with the story, like I said earlier, but I definitely made a breakthrough when I switched to handwriting. Apologies for my atrocious writing. I know you couldn't read it, but it's more the thought that counts. But I got a whole page of notes done, and it was wonderful. I was struggling with like the tone I wanted to take the story and how I wanted it to start. I think I figured that out. I started writing out a couple different options of how I could begin the story, and then the second option I did as soon as I was writing that, oh, I could start it when she's like in the pawn shop, and then like all these ideas just started spiraling. At first I was trying to have her be like a middle class lady, and oh no, her husband's turned into a plate all of a sudden, and oh, she goes to a pawn shop to try and figure out what's going on. But I like the idea that I came up when I was handwriting, where she's not actually um like just recently found out that her husband has changed, or she thinks he's changed, hopes he's changed into a plate and hasn't just left her. But instead, she's been carrying around this plate for a long time, and it's become something she's quite attached to. Perhaps it's even like a piece of her husband, if not literally. Like she thinks like, oh, he's turned her into a plate. Then figuratively, then it's something that like her and her husband, like a dinner plate, is shared. I don't know. That doesn't matter. But I figured out a way to start the story, and I'm really excited about it. Handwriting is always something I will come back to when it comes to writing. If I'm ever stuck, always go to handwriting. It's how I used to write when I was in middle school, like in between classes, or I had a really noisy class. They would talk a lot. It was the biggest class in the school. There was only like 17 kids, so it's not that big compared to most schools, but it was big for our school. And they would always get off topic and just be chattering away, and the teachers couldn't really teach the lesson, so they just let them chat. And me being the weirdo I would just be off to the side with my little notebook and my pen, just writing away on my little stories. I was writing very differently at that time. I started off writing fantasy, a big, like 300,000 word trilogy, and I got like 10,000 words from the end of the first book and realized it was all trash. Different story for a different time. But handwriting has always been something special to me, and it's always something I'll go back to if ever struggling. Always write it down. Same to you if you're ever struggling with your writing. I don't know if I'm necessarily the person to give writing advice at this moment, but this is just what works for me. Handwriting's always something I'll go back to time and time again, and it has proved in this situation to be my savior. Because I finally figured out this story, I think, and after I get back from dinner, which I have to go right now, then I will be working on this some more. And thank you for coming along with the ride with me. So, bye.